Welcome to SpoonFull of Strength, a podcast for people with chronic illness and the ones who love them.
The compassion that you guys have really shines through.
Rachel and Tina cultivate a sense of comfort.
It was such a rewarding experience.
They were great hosts.
It was amazing. You are so kind.
SpoonFull of Strength has given us this great platform.
They were so welcoming.
Here are your hosts, Rachel and Tina.
Welcome to this week's podcast of Spoonful of Strength. This week, we are talking about spiritual beliefs, and our Spoonie guest is Di, the yoga witch. And so she's also going to be talking about her journey with her chronic illness and a little bit about where she found her purpose through it all, with embracing her beliefs and putting herself out there and offering yoga for others. So I'm looking forward to having her on our podcast today.
Yeah, she's going to talk a little bit about her endometriosis as well. So it should be fun. I think she's also going to do a tarot card reading for us, so that will be enjoyable. But how have you been doing?
I've been doing okay. I messed my back up again, so I've been really struggling with that, and I'm frustrated because I had some of the pain meds and muscle relaxers on hand, but not a lot, only a couple days. So I'm still waiting. I'm on day 3 of, I called to see if I could get a refill on those, to just enough to tide me over. Since it's been a couple months, I had to schedule an appointment, which I see him on Monday, but in the meantime, they still have not called in even like just a 7-day supply of the pain meds, my the gabapentin and the muscle relaxer. So I'm just frustrated and quite painful. So hopefully just a few more days. This is Thursday when we're recording this, so I just have to make it through Monday, I guess, and maybe try calling one more time today. But we're heading out of town tomorrow, bright and early tomorrow morning. So if it doesn't happen today, I'm going to be struggling all weekend long with it. So how about you? How have you been doing?
Not too bad. I had my neuromuscular appointment last week, which I've been waiting since July. I think July is when I scheduled it, and it went well. The doctor doesn't think any of the muscle issues I'm having are related to the MS, just based on where the lesions are in my brain. And so he's ordering a MRI of my spine, and he's ordered a bunch of blood work, and he's getting me connected with a genetic counselor. So, but he did mention something, and I want to ask you, Tina, kind of your thoughts on it, because I have pain areas where touching is very sensitive. He mentioned fibromyalgia, and nobody's looked into that before. From your experience, does fibromyalgia, can that cause muscle weakness, muscle pain, and like stiffness?
So for me, with the fibromyalgia, I always, with my flare-ups, I always feel like it's like almost like low-key flu symptoms to me, like the overall body aches. It's I always play the roulette game of going, okay, am I starting to have a flare up, or am I coming down with the flu or something like that? So for me, that's kind of how it works for me, how it presents itself. They do have, like, as far as diagnosing it, and it's been years since I was diagnosed, and I haven't really followed up as much, but there are those certain points, and it's I think there's like 21 different points in the joints. It's almost like where the insertion points are. And if you have something like 17 of those, if they're tender to the touch, just simple, like the lightest pressure hurts, then that's how at least they used to diagnose it. And like I said, that's been many years ago. So I don't know if the diagnostics part of that has changed any, but
I have an appointment in January with my rheumatologist. he's the one that's kind of been trying to help me figure it out and everything. So I figured it'd just be something I bring up in January.
Yep.
But let's get into this because I'm excited to talk about this subject. But when we look at spiritual beliefs, what are some of the beliefs that you have that have helped you during chronic illness or your cancer journey?
So I've always said that I'm a spiritual person. I believe obviously there's more out there. I don't consider myself a religious person. So I find a lot of my spiritual belief is that there's a lot within, that you can have control of. So meditation, the mindfulness, journaling, spirit guides, others in other beliefs, they may, guardian angels, so to speak. I consider them my spirit guides. So just kind of tuning into being open to those messages and those signs, and just taking ownership of I guess my thoughts and the energy that I put out there is a big impact on how I maneuver through life, any difficulty in life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. And I know that spirituality doesn't necessarily just mean religion and prayer, but also the mindfulness, meditation, yoga, things like that. I'm kind of open to everything. I've tried mindfulness in the past and I need to get back into it. I have a hard time getting my mind to settle. And so for me, when I've tried mindfulness before, it's been very difficult to get through that block, so to speak. I do have religious beliefs as well. I'm just kind of at this point in my life where I'm like open to anything that can give me peace, open to kind of anything that will help my mental health and my spiritual health and all of that. So I know there's a lot of different ways that you can kind of open that book, so to speak. But yeah, through your cancer journey, how did you use your spiritual beliefs to kind of help maneuver through that?
So I remember when I first got home from the hospital, when those that had heard my story during our season 1, is that I was sent to the hospital for something else, trying to pinpoint it, and that was when they found the mass in my right, that was blocking my kidney. But I remember when I made it home, Dave and I both were laying in bed, just kind of processing everything. And even then, it was never a why me, or why is this happening? It was always, I don't understand why I'm going through this, but there has to be there's a bigger reason for it. So for me, I think we were both open to just trying to understand, okay, there is a purpose for this, versus oh, woe is me, I've got this and now I'm, the mindset is a big factor. So I knew I was facing something pretty serious. And I knew that more important than anything that the doctors could do was having the right mindset. So, I connected a lot with nature. And so that was my escape, as well as just finding peace in nature. And looking for signs. I remember for us, the cardinal, for many people, the cardinal is a sign of a loved one, visiting. And I remember the morning I woke up, when I got up the morning after I got home from the hospital, I opened the front door, and in the tree right across the street from us was a red cardinal sitting there. So I immediately sent my sister a text and said, let mom know I'm going to be fine. Dad's watching over me. So, just for me, that's where I found my peace, is just knowing that, I had loved ones that have moved on that were there to support me and guide me through it all.
Yeah. I love the red cardinals. I do the same thing with my grandma. Passed about, gosh, it's been almost 15 years, but we still, I think it was the morning that Ed had his surgery to remove the tumor in his kidney. And we were driving to the hospital and a red cardinal just swooped right in front of the car. And I was like, okay, well, because I was worried. I know your mom and sister were there with me at the hospital, but I was, just struggling a little bit mentally as far as, being a caregiver for him. And, if I was able to do that, and just a lot of anxiety, and that did certainly help. But every once in a while I'll see a cardinal when I'm struggling, and that definitely helps. But I will say I'm probably not as strong as you as far as being given a diagnosis and being able to immediately kind of turn it into a positive. I think that's one of the best things about you. I have had moments where, especially when you get a third or a fourth diagnosis, of just being like, why me? I will admit I've been in those situations where I've said, okay, I've got enough on my plate. Why put more on my plate? And so that's been something that I've thought in the past, and I'm trying to do better of letting things fall as they may and looking for the opportunity, the reason for why it's happening. But I know for some people, it's very hard not to fall into that mindset. And I think that you really can't answer why me, you really don't have an answer for that. So to kind of, I think I've realized that to kind of sit in that only does negative for my mental health. And so I'm retraining my brain, so to speak, on trying to think about, instead of sulking and in that mindset of realizing that my body has gone through a lot and I'm strong, and putting something else on my plate is just going to show, how strong my body is, and trying to look at it from a different mindset.
Yeah. I know I have a friend that one of my his favorite saying, and it's always resonated with me, is the only right religion is the one that's right for you.
Yeah.
And that's, and it doesn't even necessarily have to be, religion in itself, but spirituality and whatever, there's no right or wrong answer, and no right or wrong path. It's whatever brings you comfort, whatever helps you, gives you comfort, gives you strength, and whatever may help you make sense of everything that you're going through.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of us, no matter what type of spirituality you have, I think that it can help provide us with hope in times that are tough. And no matter what that looks like, when things get tough, what do you reach for? Do you reach for your yoga mat, or do you reach for your Bible, or do you, go for a walk and practice mindfulness, out in nature? It's really just again, like what you said, I love that quote because it really is what suits you and what's going to help your mind get past the hardships that come with chronic illness.
Yeah. And it was, I remember for me, I used to struggle with people. They're like, oh, I'm going to pray for you, because that's not necessarily where my belief system is. And so initially I was like, if that's what makes you happy type thing. But then
Right.
it's interesting as we grow and embrace more of where we are on our own spiritual path. It's like, you know what, it's the energy is the energy, no matter what, no, whether it's prayer, meditation, yoga, anything like that. If you're wanting to shoot me positive vibes, whichever, however your method is, then go for it.
For me, I'll take anything, no matter, what you send my way. But are you saying that maybe it was harder to accept beliefs that you didn't believe in? Am I getting that right?
Yeah, initially, I think
Initially,
that, and it just based on, former experiences, that I had gone through, kind of, I don't know if I want necessarily say jaded, but I guess maybe jaded a little bit of gave me a jaded view of of various organized religions. So I felt like I was not as open to people that were wanting that had such a strong belief, wanting to send that my way, versus learning how to accept it. I don't have to have the same belief system as everybody else. That's the beauty of why there's so many different belief systems out there, right? And so,
right.
but the intent it all comes down to the intent.
Right. So no matter what they're saying, if it's I'm
Yeah.
praying for you or I'm going to
Yeah.
send you good vibes,
Good vibes,
it's
or healing
Yep.
energy,
Yeah,
a lot
sending
of
positive energy.
yeah, that type of thing.
Yeah, no matter what it is,
Right.
it's coming from a place of
It's all coming from a place of love and support.
yeah. While you're on your phone, come on, I know it's in your hand. Head on over to Spoonful of Strength Etsy shop at spoonfulofstrength.etsy.com. That's spoonful with 2 L's. We have a wide variety of t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, mugs, and so much more. Anything in the shop can be customized based on your illness. We have sizes from extra small to 5X and many colors to choose from. The best part is most items ship within 2 business days. So head on over to spoonfulofstrength.etsy.com. So let me ask you this. I know that for some people, yoga and like Tai Chi are a way that they can practice their spiritual beliefs. Do you have any experience in using those methods?
Yeah, actually both. Tai Chi, I really enjoy Tai Chi. It's more of like it's with Tai Chi, it's more, we have throughout our body, we have energetic pathways. If you look at the energetic meridian, so with Tai Chi, it's more about the fluid movement of those energy meridians, and that fluid movement, which helps keep your body moving, but also your energetic pathways open. Yoga, I enjoy yoga, but I'm not as flexible. So sometimes yoga has the specific poses. Well, Tai Chi also has poses as well, but yoga for me is more, I find more challenging, only because of the stiffness that I usually have within my body. But I know that if I had like a actual dedicated yoga practice, that comes in time as well. with the flexibility. How about you? Have you tried?
I am, and I know we have an episode coming up in a few weeks where we talk about physical health, and I have tried chair yoga before, which is a great alternative for people that can't stand for a long time. And that's been good. But I need to, it's something that I need to commit to and really do it on a daily or a few times a week, and really see if it's going to work for my body. And unfortunately, my physical limitations have gotten a lot worse, and so that might be something to look into to see if it actually helps some of the muscle pain. And my flexibility is awful. I'm this close to not being able to put socks on. Just, so it's definitely something I need to look into and see if it's a good fit for me. But I have looked into the chair yoga and have done that, and I would definitely recommend that for the people that don't have the balance and the strength to be able to stand through a 30-minute yoga session.
Right. I've done a little bit of chair yoga. And I know that I remember Dave and Brittany and I, when we belonged to the Y, we had decided one time we were going to get up early on a Saturday morning and we were going to go to the beginner yoga class. So we get there and I'm like, I can handle beginner yoga. They usually have modified. There's, like you can use the blocks and, different modifications. If you can't bend over to touch your toes, use a block to still have that movement, but you're not trying to bend over quite as much. And so we're like, okay, we can do this. Well, the regular instructor was out, and it was a substitute instructor who taught like more of the advanced yogas. And I don't think she realized it was supposed to be a beginner yoga class.
Oh, no.
We are dying. And then there was another class that Brittany and I went to, and it was like a Pilates and yoga mix. And we're like, oh, Pilates are supposed to be like a gentle movement thing. How hard is that? Oh my gosh. We're looking at each other like, yeah, that was a one and done class. We never did it again. So now we're going to go ahead and welcome in Di, the yoga witch, which I'm really excited. It's been a while since I've had my tarot reading. So I'm curious to see how that goes and how she goes about that. Everybody has their own way of reading cards as well. So let's welcome Di into our podcast.
Thank you for coming on today and giving us some time to talk about your health history. And I know we're going to do some fun things after we talk to you a little bit, but
that's the plan.
Yeah. So why don't you start by just introducing yourself?
Okay, well, my name is Di. I go as Di the Yoga Witch online because, well, I have been a practicing witch for pushing 30 years. Wow. Does not feel that long. I do a daily tarot draw online, and it's just, for me, that's a lot of fun, and it just kind of gets out there. I am a Navy vet. I am sitting at 80% service-connected disabled, which is amazing because that means the VA takes care of most of my stuff.
That's good.
And through the Navy, I met both fathers of my kids, which leads to my endo. I had, the anniversary is coming up too, I had an ectopic pregnancy rupture on Halloween of 2002. Literally, I felt it pop as I was stepping over the threshold um, to go get my kids into their costumes to take them trick-or-treating. I am hemorrhaging internally at this point, but I don't know it. We found out then that it was an ectopic. I am convinced, the reason I'm mentioning the ectopic, I am convinced that when they went in to clean up after the ectopic, they didn't get everything. Because from the time my period started when I was 11 up until that point at 22, I had never had the horrific cramps that I have heard other people talk about. No nausea, no cramps, It was great.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had that happen. Then at Christmas, I conceived my youngest. I'm convinced there is a reason he exists because I should not have been able to get pregnant that soon. And then after I had him, oh my God, my periods were miserable up until New Year's of this year. It's horrific. But the VA was kind enough to say, let's see, maybe there's something else we can do here. We're going to refer you to University of Washington, and we're going to send you to a gynecologist there. Chances are you're going to end up having a hysterectomy, but who knows? So I went into that appointment figuring, long shot, but we can hope. And she's like, there is a new drug on the market, Myfembree. And she's like, why don't we try that and see how that works? So we tried that, and I started that the beginning of February. So I had a January cycle, a February cycle, and they were miserable. Then March came along, and I'm like, okay, it should be starting any time now. No cycle, no cramps. I can deal with this. Okay. And then April, I missed a week of my meds. I just, ADD, fibrofog. Yeah, didn't happen. Yeah, the cramps came back full force. And I decided then, no, I am never doing this one again.
How did the endometriosis affect you?
I've had some secondary infertility. I have had two that I know of, and I'm suspecting a third miscarriage since being with him. And whoosh, that was really, really hard on him because he always wanted to have kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so making the decision to, never have them because of my health was really hard on both of us because I grew up the youngest of four, and my dream was to have four kids. And then I have three. We found out I am ADD, and then we all found out we're all on the spectrum. So honestly, more kids would not have been a good idea.
So throughout all of this, one of the things that we realize is the mental aspect of the impact of all of this. So can you talk a little bit about the support that you receive, the mental state as far as not really, I don't want to say embracing this, but coming to terms with all of this?
Yeah. Well, I have been a domestic violence survivor until my current husband and I got together. My first abuser was literally my mother. And we were living with, well, we were cohabitating with my parents until about a year before we moved here. And she was not supportive. The only times she ever was supportive and helpful was if it made her look good. So I didn't exactly have a lot of mental and emotional support there. My kids' dads were not the most supportive, but um my most recent ex-husband, the one that lived with my parents with me, he was great. He tried so hard to be supportive, even through a treatment protocol that was not good. It was a GnRH antagonist, I think is the word. It was a pellet that they would inject into my belly once a month. And the week after I got it, I was great. Then 2 weeks after that, I was suicidal and crying constantly. And then the last week before I got it again, I was homicidal and just raging. And he tried. He tried so hard to be supportive, but he's like, please, I can't do this anymore. Can we find another treatment? I agreed. But I have been very blessed to have some amazingly supportive friends. And then about 10 years ago, found the Spoonie community, and I'm so grateful for them. I have found so much support and ideas on how to treat this through them. I have been in therapy for about 25 years. Mike was about a year old when we went into therapy. We moved from San Diego to Washington, and I got assigned a therapist at the VA. She and I never really clicked. So I just kind of went along with that until my husband found our current therapist, and she has been a godsend. So grateful to her. And like I said, just really amazingly supportive friends. My kids are great. They always figured out real quick, you know, mom's not doing so good this week. Let's try to be nice and take care of mom.
That's good.
Yes.
I tell you what, it makes such a big difference to not only have the support of a family, but also to be able to have a therapist that you click with, and that, you know, that's so hard to find sometimes. And so I'm glad that you have been able to get there. You talked about how painful your periods were. What exactly, can you explain some of the symptoms that you had? And did it last just that week, or was it, how long?
Okay. The cramps would generally start 3 to 4 days before my cycle. And they would be so bad and would hit while I was driving that I would try to curl into the fetal position behind the wheel of the car. Yeah. Then nausea would, tag along for the ride. Migraine headaches. My migraines would usually come, they would start a couple of days before the cramps. And I get those wonderful migraines that mimic strokes. So my face would droop, one side of my body, I would be dragging my foot, be unable to, really use my hand. And it was never the same one twice in a row. It was really bizarre. That was when we confirmed the migraine headaches, and I got put on a, protocol to prevent those. But that didn't stop the nausea and the cramps and the constant bone crushing, soul crushing fatigue and the brain fog. I am convinced that the cramps were contributing to the brain fog. because I don't get as stupid as I was. Well, I still do occasionally, but not as cyclically. There we go.
Yeah. Cognitive issues. Sometimes, even just the amount of pain you're in just causes that. But I know both Tina and I have cognitive issues and they're so frustrating. So
Absolutely.
You had an ovary tear on that left side. So tell me what exactly they did surgery. What did they do in the surgery that you had?
Well, when they went in for the ectopic, they said, okay, this will be like a 2-hour surgery. She'll be done 7 hours later. There's like 6 liters of blood in the human body. I lost 5.5.
Oh my.
They don't know how I was awake when they wheeled me into surgery, much less cracking jokes at the anesthesiologist. So I get up here and the ovary torqued. And again, it was supposed to be like a 45-minute surgery. But because of the endometriosis, it took them 2 hours, 3 hours. And they went in and they had to remove the ovary. They discovered a large chocolate cyst. I mean, from the pictures, it was like the size
Golf
of
ball size?
Yeah, ping pong golf ball size. I was thinking a baby red potato, but I just had those for dinner last night.
Don't want to think about anything you eat, right?
Well, they call it a chocolate cyst too, so my brain goes to food.
Yeah, of course.
But they went in, they removed that. They tried to go in laparoscopically, but they couldn't because of the amount of scar tissue and damage. So they had to reopen the incision from when they did the ectopic. I don't remember a lot of that time period.
Yeah.
I'm also DID, so there is a distinct possibility that because of the stress and the trauma that was going on everywhere else in my life, I may not be the one that was out at that time, which is why I have vague memories.
Now, did the surgery resolve what you were going through?
No. Well, sort of. It did solve that particular pain because the reason I had it was the ovary torsion. But it did not fix anything else. However, it did lead to them finding the endo. And the irony is there, when the surgeon came to my mom to tell her what they had found, she was tired enough from what we had just been through that she told my mom it was fibro. And so when I went back to the gynecologist at the VA and said that was what she said, I got told, oh, I don't treat that. And I'm like, hilariously though, 6 months later, I was diagnosed with fibro. I missed the entire month of October last year because I had both feet worked on. And that was surgery numbers 5 and 6 on my feet. The Navy did a number on my health. It really did.
Yeah, that's too bad. It sounds like maybe the VA though is I've heard of horror stories with
I am one
VA.
of the lucky ones. Yes.
Yeah, sounds like it.
There have
definitely
been
sounds
times,
hit or miss.
Yes. And I have been working with the VA literally since I was 18 years old. And I am 46 now, and I have had one time that I have left the VA hospital furious with the doctor because of the treatment I got. And that was right after, not the last bout with COVID, but the bout before that, when my son and I went to a concert and we came home with COVID, I ended up with some less than stellar post COVID symptoms that, for the most part, have resolved. But one of them was full body twitching and convulsions to the point I felt like I was constantly having a seizure. By the time I could get in to see my VA doctor, they'd stopped. So she's like, "Oh, you haven't seen your psychiatrist in a while, so I want you to walk over to the day clinic and go see the psychiatrist because you're obviously depressed." One moment.
It's so frustrating.
Yes.
Join Spoonful of Strength on Instagram, a community open to everyone. Whether you have a chronic illness or support someone who does, you are welcome at Spoonful of Strength. You'll get preview clips of the upcoming episodes and insight into my world as a spoonie. That's Spoonful of Strength, spoonful with 2 L's, on Instagram.
So, but yeah, I know that was, the main focus as far as, the endometriosis and the things that you've gone through, but definitely have
my
sorry,
main
I'm not
issues are the fibro, the endo, the migraines, the asthma. I have had surgery to fix both of my feet. Various things wrong there. I have patellofemoral pain syndrome because my kneecaps just don't work right either. And then mental health wise, I have CPTSD and DID. The depression and anxiety that go along with those. Those are really the main things I have. I'm trying to think. And then, having had 2 discs in my neck replaced May of this year.
Yeah.
That was entertaining.
I bet. The episode that airs right before yours, we did on multiple illnesses, because we find a lot of people aren't just living with MS or diabetes or POTS. They're integrated.
Oh yeah,
in
I have POTS and
so many
MCAS too.
things. Yeah. Okay. See, and so it's so amazing to talk to people that just are dealing with so many things that could overlap and all of that. And I do want to say as far as your miscarriages and things like that, I'm sure that was devastating, and I just want to know that I'm really sorry that had happened, but I am glad that the new drug that you have tried is giving you some relief, because from what you've said, I can't even imagine the pain that you had and to get some relief on something is a win sometimes. Can't always get relief of everything, but if you can handle one thing. Can you leave us with one piece of advice for people who are experiencing living with endometriosis?
Keep fighting. Do not give up. Keep harassing your doctor. If a treatment doesn't work, keep trying. Then this is where the yoga witch ties in. Meditation. I have discovered that grounding and meditation and mindfulness helps so much. And the breathing exercises that pranayama is what we call it in yoga. A lot of it is very similar to Lamaze breathing. And prior to my yoga journey, I really did use Lamaze breathing when the cramps got really bad. So it helps.
You're speaking Tina's language, talking about meditation and all of that. We did an episode last season about meditation, and Tina did a couple guided meditations on there so that people could go back to it and listen. So explain to our listeners the things that you do and what people can experience from your Instagram page and website.
Okay. Basically, I was first introduced to yoga while pregnant with, I want to say, my middle child. My ex-mother-in-law said, hey, this would be something you could do. It might help. So I, bought a mat, bought a prenatal yoga DVD, and I tried it. And I was terrified at the time of, doing something wrong and hurting myself. So I put the mat away, didn't touch it again until we got to Washington when that child was 4. And then the VA here in Seattle started the mindfulness based stress reduction program. And because I have PTSD, I was in the Women's Trauma and Recovery program or clinic, and they referred me. Part of MBSR is some basic yoga. And I was like, I really like this. Then I discovered the Women's Trauma and Recovery program had a yoga class every week. And I signed up. Within my first class, I was not even halfway through my first class, and I'm like, I want to teach this because I love the way it's making me feel, and I want to share this. The incubator talked me out of it, and then a couple of years ago, I'm staring big 45 years old in the face, and this dream is still out there, and I'm like, I am going to be enrolled in yoga teacher training by the time I turn 45. Teacher training started in October. I turned 45 in January. I received my certificate on Father's Day of 2023. That was the birth of Yoga with Dai Lin. As I was setting up Yoga with Dai, I set up a Patreon. And as I'm going through the tiers for Patreon, I'm going, what can I offer? Okay, one-on-one yoga session. And then, okay, how about a free 3-card tarot reading or a pendulum reading? Because I do those. And then at this tier, we'll throw in a spell a month. And then at this tier, we'll do this. And I'm like, where is the witchy stuff coming from? Yeah, whatever, we'll roll with it. And then a few months later, I found the book Yoga Witch, and I'm like, apparently this is a thing now, so we're going to keep going. And about this time last year, I started doing my daily divination draw, where I draw three tarot, 3 oracle, a rune, a goddess, and then my action cards. This is a stress reducer, and this is self-compassion. So, and then I wrap everything up with my daily moment of Zen, where I read a quote out of the little book of Zen. And Dai the Yoga Witch was born.
Awesome.
And I have been having so much fun with that aspect of it. And actually, this is going to be perfect timing, because about the time this airs, I'm going to be starting with my pose of the day videos. Currently,
good.
my darling husband, I love him to bits. He takes my live stream and he chops it up into little shorts, posts them to YouTube. I'll give you that link. But that's Dai the Yoga Witch. I am working on, because it's my responsibility to upload the shorts to Instagram. And that's where everything on Instagram comes up. You get the shorts of the cards. The tarot cards are one. The oracle cards are another, each bit. And we also live stream the daily draw to Insta. But I also share, pictures of me doing yoga. Sometimes I will share a sped up version of my daily flow that I do for myself. And of course, the fur kids. They're really popular.
I bet. They always, occasionally I'll post videos of my dogs, and who doesn't love a dog video or a cat video,
We have an entire video that is nothing but the dogs and the cat helping me do yoga.
Oh, that's
It
awesome.
has the
that's
most views
awesome.
of any of the videos on our channel.
Well, we'd love to share some of the information so that our listeners can find you and book a tarot reading. Now, you have generously offered to do a reading for Tina and I. So
Yes.
I will turn it over to you and kind of let you take the reins here.
Okay. So what I do, I have my cards. I am a unicorn person. So my cards are the Unicorn Tarot.
Mm-hmm.
And this deck, I am more accurate than most of my decks with. Probably because it's my first deck.
Mm-hmm.
So what we do is you have two options. You can either tell me what you want me to have the cards tell us, or just leave it up to the universe and you kind of think to yourselves.
What do you think, Tina?
I always like the leave it up to the universe. I already knew this was coming up. And when I woke up this morning, I already put my question out there.
Okay.
Okay. So can you do for me more specific and Tina, or do we have to agree here?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so
the
I'll have
cards
you
will decide
target.
for themselves because they are unicorns and they very much have a mind of their own.
Okay, so my subject would probably be I'm in a situation right now health wise of just trying to figure some things out. So my goal or whatever would be more toward health.
Interesting. Yesterday's cards indicated someone having a psychosomatic or an actual illness. So what I do, because the number 9 is sacred to witches, I typically shuffle the cards 4 times and then cut them 5. And I don't bridge my cards because, well, my hands don't cooperate.
You got to do what you got to do, right?
Yep. Our first card, Queen of Rods reversed. She says...
For Tina, or is this for me, or is it kind of both of us? I'm new to this, so that's why.
You guys will figure out who they're talking to.
Okay.
Someone's energy is spread thin and there's a fiery temper. So one of you has a fiery temper, I'm betting, and the other one, your energy is spread kind of thin. Next, we have the Hierophant. So that is a major arcana. That's kind of cool. You need to make up your own mind about which path you should take, and sometimes it helps to see the other person's point of view and learn from their mistakes. And then we have the Fool reversed. You are not only excitable, but likely to be foolish about the situation at hand. Be extremely cautious and avoid taking risks because you can't trust your own feelings right now and you might be making a mistake. I'm thinking the Queen of Rods is Rachel and the other two were pertaining to Tina. That's what my gut is saying.
Okay.
So you know what I'm going to do? Yep. Let's see what the next 3 say. We have the 7 of Swords. We have a tricky situation requiring great care. That would be your health. The Moon, she says, slander and disillusionment. So one of you has somebody talking trash behind your back, and chances are it's someone you call a friend, because it also says false friends. And then the 8 of Rods. Do you guys have someone who doubts one of your medical conditions or that it's as serious as it is?
Yeah.
That would be that one. And then You have a message or news on the way.
Hmm.
Um,
I have a feeling that one means something to you. You're waiting to hear back from a doctor?
I have a appointment on Friday. That is a big one.
That's the message or news. Unfortunately, it doesn't say whether it's good or bad.
Oh, come on.
Although,
but at least you'll be getting it.
Yes.
basically the universe is saying you gotta wait and see. I hate it when it does that.
Yeah.
Some days they cooperate with me, and some days they're like, no, you're not allowed to tell them.
Yeah.
But that is what I do. That's my thing. And I enjoy doing this
Yeah.
because I'm typically accurate. And it's just, I love helping people. And
Good.
in my heart, this is my way of being able to help.
Good. Oh,
And,
fun.
spread love, spread joy, spread kindness.
I know we talk a lot about people with chronic illness. We find as we talk to so many people that a lot of people want to find their purpose of life. And, for Tina and I, this has been, a good outlet for us. But a lot of people just find something that they're able to spread love and joy and all of that. It sounds like this is exactly what your purpose is.
Yeah, it is. It really is. Because through the yoga, I can give back to my communities. I'm a veteran. I'm a domestic violence survivor. I'm LGBTQ, all of that. And I have deep ties to the indigenous community. My ultimate goal is to found a charity, a 501, that I can teach yoga through. I can provide basically a homeless shelter and a domestic violence shelter. I have a sister veteran who is already pledging she will be a drug and alcohol counselor for me because the VA paid for her to do that. And I want to focus on the communities who need the grounding and the balance and the benefits that yoga provides.
Yeah.
For those who really need it, especially the underserved communities and those who can't afford it.
I enjoyed having you on and
Thank
appreciate
you.
the reading.
We're so glad that
Yep.
you've been able to find something to help other people, and we just can't thank you enough for coming on tonight and joining us. And we look forward to sharing your message and all that you do, and hopefully get some people to try out the tarot reading, because that's
That
fun.
would be cool.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you for
thank you very
having me.
much.
This has been fun.
Yes. Endometriosis is one of the things that we haven't talked about on the podcast. And I was really excited to be able to bring somebody in that can give us a little bit more information on endometriosis, because I know that affects so many women. And the tarot reading was fun. Did you get anything out of it?
Yeah, it was I always enjoy them, and I always believe with those readings, those type of readings, whether you're a believer or not, it's again a mindset of if you're if you're looking for a very specific answer, you're not going to necessarily be like, okay, who am I going to marry, or something like that is not
Yeah.
going to. But if you're open to the messages that they do offer and approach it with an open mind, then usually upon reflection you realize that you are getting some guidance more than what you may initially have realized.
Yeah. No, I see that definitely. Yeah, definitely a good pick to pair with our spirituality. episode. So we hope that you enjoyed today's podcast. Next week, we have on a caregiver. Diana is going to come on and talk about her daughter's chronic illnesses and how she has maneuvered through that with her and her family. And at the beginning of the episode, we're going to talk about a topic that probably has affected everyone in chronic illness, and that's the family dynamic, whether that be your immediate family or extended family, and talking about how chronic illness can change the family dynamic. So an interesting episode coming up, and we're excited to have you with us next week. So I hope that your week is good, and we look forward to talking with you next week on Spoonful of Strength. Take care. Don't forget to follow the podcast, click on the bell to receive notifications on new episodes, and give us a rating. Feel free to send us a comment on the episode you just listened to. Thank you for being a loyal listener.